What is the personality type of your pet? Not the breed, not the species, but the personality. Because just like people, animals aren't all the same. Some dogs are loud, impulsive, full of energy. Others are calm, observant, almost reserved. Some cats are confident and dominant. Others are gentle, anxious, or quietly affectionate. So the real question isn't just, who are they? It's also, why do you connect so deeply with this personality? And what might that say about you as their owner? We often talk about pets in simple categories: dog or cat, active or lazy, friendly or distant. But anyone who actually lives with an animal knows you don't just have a dog, you have this dog, with habits, with moods, with emotional patterns. And over time, something interesting happens. You don't just learn who they are, you start to notice how naturally you adapt to them. That connection isn't random. In psychology, personality means consistent patterns of behavior and emotional response, and animals absolutely have that. Research shows that pets differ in energy level, emotional sensitivity, curiosity, sociability, stress response. Two pets from the same breed, raised in similar environments, can still develop completely different personalities. Because personality isn't programmed. It emerges over time. Think about the way you describe your pet. You might say, she's dramatic. He's extremely chill. She needs a lot of reassurance. He prefers being left alone. These aren't random descriptions. Your brain is very good at recognizing patterns. You notice how your pet reacts to strangers, whether they seek comfort or avoid it, how quickly they become overstimulated, how they handle stress or change. Those reactions repeat, and repetition creates personality. Here's where it gets interesting. People don't just live next to their pet's personality. They respond to it. They adapt to it. They often feel strangely comfortable with it. Psychology suggests that we tend to bond most deeply with personalities that fit our emotional rhythm, not because we're the same, but because the dynamic feels familiar. This doesn't mean your pet defines who you are, but it often reflects something about what kind of energy you're comfortable with, how much closeness you prefer, how you deal with emotion and space. This isn't about good or bad personalities. A high-energy pet isn't difficult. A reserved pet isn't cold. They simply experience the world differently. And owners don't choose pets consciously based on personality. But psychology often notices patterns. Certain personalities tend to find each other and work well together. What this video will help you discover. So in this video, we're going to explore two things at once. First, the main personality types we commonly see in pets. And second, what those personalities often reveal about the kind of environment and owner they thrive with. As you watch, notice which type sounds like your pet and why that dynamic feels natural to you. Because the question isn't just, who are they? It's also, why does this personality feel right to you? Let's start by looking at the different personality types in dogs. In the previous part, we talked about one core idea. Pets aren't all the same. They have personalities, emotional patterns, consistent ways of reacting to the world. Now, let's take a closer look at dogs. Because while we often talk about dogs as one category, dog personalities can be very different. As you listen, notice which type sounds familiar. Not just for your dog, but also for you. Type 1. The Energizer. Some dogs seem to run on endless energy. They're excited by everything. New people, new places, new sounds. They react quickly. They move constantly. They struggle with boredom. Psychologically, this type is highly stimulus-driven. They experience the world intensely and need frequent engagement to regulate themselves. These dogs often jump when greeting, become restless when ignored, get overstimulated easily, calm down through movement. This personality isn't too much. It's highly responsive. What this often says about the owner. People who bond deeply with this type often enjoy emotional expressiveness, prefer visible enthusiasm, feel comfortable with intensity. They're usually people who don't mind energy or even need it to feel alive. This dynamic works because both sides meet in motion. Type 2. The loyal companion. Some dogs don't need constant activity. They just want to be near you. They follow you from room to room. They sit close. They watch. They're emotionally tuned in and deeply attached to their owner. This personality type regulates through presence. They don't need excitement. They need connection. These dogs often become anxious when separated, seek physical closeness, respond strongly to your mood, feel safest with routine. They form deep bonds. What this often says about the owner. People who connect with this type often value emotional closeness, are highly empathetic, feel responsible for others' well-being. They tend to feel safest when connection is clear and consistent. This bond feels secure, but also intense. Type 3. The observer. Some dogs are calm, quiet, and watchful. They don't rush into situations. They take their time. They observe before reacting. These dogs are often mislabeled as boring or lazy, but psychologically, they are internally regulated. They process before they act. They often prefer calm environments, react slowly but deliberately, stay composed under stress, withdraw when overstimulated. This personality values stability. What this often says about the owner. People who bond with this type often value peace and predictability, dislike emotional chaos, feel comfortable with silence. They don't need constant stimulation. They prefer depth over excitement. Type 4. The sensitive soul. Some dogs feel everything. Loud noises scare them. New environments overwhelm them. Changes take time to process. These dogs aren't weak. They're emotionally sensitive. They react strongly to stress because their nervous system processes stimuli deeply. They often startle easily, need reassurance, struggle with sudden change, bond intensely with trusted people. They require patience. What this often says about the owner. People who connect with this type often are emotionally attuned, highly perceptive, protective by nature. They tend to notice subtle emotional shifts in animals and in people. This bond is built on gentleness. Important reminder. Most dogs aren't just one type. They're a combination. Context matters, environment matters, experience matters. These types aren't labels, they're patterns, tools for understanding, not boxes to trap your pet in. Now that you've explored the main dog personality types, you might already recognize your own. But dogs aren't the only animals with rich inner worlds. Cats express personality differently, and often more subtly. In the next part, we'll explore cat personality types and what makes them so misunderstood.
Who is your cat, and what does this personality often say about the owner? In the previous part, we explored dog personality types. We saw how dogs often express their inner world openly through movement, emotion, and connection. Cats work differently. Cat personalities are usually quieter, more subtle, and often misunderstood. So now, let's look at the psychology of cats. And as before, notice which type feels familiar not just for your cat, but also in the dynamic you share. Type 1. The confident dominant. Some cats walk into a room like they already own it. They choose when to engage. They set the rules. They're not afraid to demand attention, but only on their terms. Psychologically, this type is highly self-regulated. They feel secure within themselves and don't rely heavily on others for reassurance. These cats often maintain strong eye contact, dislike being handled too much, assert boundaries clearly, show affection selectively. They're not cold, they're confident. What this often says about the owner, people who bond well with this type often respect boundaries, value independence, don't need constant emotional validation. They're comfortable letting connection exist without control. Type 2. The affectionate shadow. Some cats are always nearby. They follow you quietly, sleep close, sit beside you, not on you. They may not demand attention, but they seek proximity. This personality type bonds through presence, not intensity. They're emotionally attached, but in a subtle way. These cats often choose one or two people, prefer calm affection, become distressed by absence, show loyalty quietly. What this often says about the owner: owners who connect with this type often value emotional safety, are attentive but not intrusive, appreciate quiet connection. This bond feels intimate without being overwhelming. Type 3, the observer. Some cats prefer to watch. They sit high, they stay back, they observe before acting. They're curious, but cautious. Psychologically, this type processes the world slowly and internally. They don't rush emotional decisions. They often take time to trust, prefer predictable environments, withdraw under pressure, engage selectively. These cats are often misunderstood as distant, but they're not disconnected. They're thoughtful. What this often says about the owner: people who bond with this type often value depth over intensity, feel comfortable with silence, dislike emotional chaos. They don't rush relationships. They let them unfold. Type 4, the sensitive soul. Some cats feel everything. Loud sounds startle them. New people stress them. Small changes affect them deeply. This isn't weakness. It's high emotional sensitivity. These cats often hide when overstimulated, need safe spaces, bond deeply with trusted people, react strongly to unfamiliar situations. They require patience and understanding. What this often says about the owner: people who connect with this type often are emotionally perceptive, highly empathetic, protective by nature. They tend to notice subtle emotional cues and respond gently. Important reminder: just like dogs, most cats aren't just one type. They're combinations. Their personality can shift depending on environment, trust, age, experience. These types aren't labels, they're lenses, ways to understand, not limit. So now you've seen how different cat personalities express themselves. In the final part, we'll bring everything together: dogs, cats, personalities, and why understanding who they are often makes the bond feel effortless.
You might be watching this and thinking, my pet doesn't fully fit any type. Sometimes they're calm, sometimes chaotic. Sometimes I don't recognize myself in what you're describing, and that's not a mistake. Because personality, human or animal, is not a box. It's a pattern. And in this final part, we're going to talk about something deeper than types. We're going to talk about mirrors. Because often, your pet isn't just showing who they are. They're showing you who you are becoming. The myth of one personality. We like labels: playful dog, grumpy cat, anxious pet, independent pet. But personality doesn't work like that. Most pets have a dominant trait and a secondary trait that appears under stress, safety, or change. For example, a dog who is energetic in public but deeply sensitive at home. A cat who acts aloof but becomes intensely affectionate with one specific person. This is important because it tells us something powerful. Your pet is not reacting to the world. They are reacting to their emotional environment. And you are a huge part of that environment. The owner-pet feedback loop. Here's something psychology has observed again and again. Pets don't just reflect who you are. They adapt to who you need to be. Let's break that down. When an owner is anxious, pets often become hypervigilant, clingy, overprotective. Not because they're anxious by nature, but because they're regulating the household. When an owner is emotionally closed, pets often become independent, distant, low maintenance. They learn, I won't get consistency here, so I'll rely on myself. When an owner is emotionally expressive, pets often become playful, loud, highly social. Because emotional expression feels safe. This creates a feedback loop. You influence your pet reinforces your behavior, and slowly, it feels normal. When pets carry what you don't. This is the part most people don't talk about. Sometimes pets express the traits we suppress. The cat who sets boundaries because you don't. The dog who seeks attention because you were taught not to. The pet who relaxes easily, while you never learned how. In psychology, this is called externalized regulation. Your pet becomes your calm, your voice, your permission. And that's why losing a pet can feel so destabilizing. You're not just losing an animal. You're losing a regulatory system you didn't realize you were using. The question that changes everything. So here's the real question. Not, what personality type is my pet? But, what role does my pet play in my emotional life? Do they calm you? Do they ground you? Do they give you structure? Do they give you affection without conditions? Because that role didn't appear randomly. It formed where something was missing or needed. Your pet is not an accident, not their personality, not their timing, not the bond you share. They are who they are, because of who you are, and who you're becoming. So when you ask, who are they? You're also asking, who am I when I'm with them?